In recent years, Disney have, for me, become extremely lazy by embarking on live-action remakes which are almost shot for shot for their classic animated films. But every time the live-action versions are much worse because they add in virtue signalling and wokeness. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when Mulan was re-released. It appeared the central character was possessed by the spirit of an angry feminist from the 1990s. And next year, Disney are releasing The Little Mermaid. And that's causing controversy because of the actress cast to play Princess Ariel. She's being played by Halle Bailey. But because I'm over 40, the first time I heard that, I misheard Halle Berry. And I thought, she's a hell of an actress. But it's too much of a stretch to have a 56-year-old woman playing a teenager. I mean, it's hard enough at the moment with Series 4 of Stranger Things, when you've got actors knocking on 30 playing high school students with lines like, "Hey, I'm late for class." It's like, yeah, you are late for class by about a decade. The note from your mother is going to be off the fucking scale. So this is 22-year-old singer and actress Halle Bailey. And let's just get it out of the way. She needs a bit. The issue though is in the 1989 animated film The Little Mermaid, Ariel was white, whereas this beautiful young woman is black. So there's been a lot of screaming, particularly from the extremes of the far left and the far right. The far right are saying white people are being erased from history even though she's a fictional fucking character. And those on the far left are screaming that anyone who doesn't 100% agree with this casting decision is a white supremacist. But they tend to say that about everything. But when you get rid of the extremes, there are arguments on both sides, and they both make sense. So one argument is that The Little Mermaid is a 19th century Danish fairy story written by Hans Christian Andersen, so there's no way the main character would be black. And I have to say, I agree with that. It's great they want to keep it authentic. I would also ask the people putting forward this argument, have they read the original? Because as a child I did, because I grew up when traumatising kids was absolutely fine. Because by modern standards, The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen may as well have been written by Stephen fucking King. There are similarities between the original and the Disney versions of The Little Mermaid. In the original, The Little Mermaid, because I don't think she's called Princess Ariel, but please don't quote me on that, swims to the surface on her birthday, sees the prince, instantly falls in love, then a storm hits, shipwreck, she rescues the prince, and then goes to see the sea witch because she wants to be human. The sea witch says she has a potion which she will give her in exchange for the Little Mermaid's voice. So far, so good. The witch also explains that when the Little Mermaid drinks the potion to make her human, she will feel like she's being disemboweled with a sword, and every footstep she takes on her new human legs will feel like she's having a dagger thrust through her foot. Disney sort of glossed over that. Also, in the original, the prince doesn't fall in love with the Little Mermaid, so her sisters come and find her and tell her she can become a mermaid again if she murders him in his sleep. The Little Mermaid doesn't do that. Instead, she jumps back into the sea as dawn is breaking, effectively committing suicide. But the happy ending is she now has a human soul, so she can make her way to heaven, although it will take her 300 years. That being said, in the Disney version of The Little Mermaid, in the song Under the Sea, there's the line, "Everything's better down where it's wetter." I couldn't agree more, but this isn't the first time that Disney have had to water down a traditional fairy story, whether it be written by Hans Christian Andersen, the Brothers Grimm, whatever. In the original version of Cinderella, the ugly sisters, in order to get the glass slipper to fit, cut off their toes and their heels, and the prince notices the blood inside the shoe. He's not overly observant. If it were me, I would have noticed a bird's toes were missing as I was putting the slipper on. And then, when Cinderella gets married, birds descend and peck out her sister's eyes in revenge for their wickedness. If you're watching this and you are a parent with young children and you're considering reading them traditional fairy stories, I'll save you some time and effort. Get the kiddies tucked up in bed, then don't read to them. Just show them pictures of road accidents. Make them look at it, go, "Look at it! That man was crossing the road, the car hit him, he went through the windscreen, his head came off. That could be you! You could die tomorrow!" Sleep well, kids. The other side of the argument is that mermaids are mythical creatures. They're half fish. So why does it matter what colour the skin is on the human half of them? And I fully agree with that as well. However, why didn't Disney just write something new? Because they must have known what the reaction would be from certain people. They are deliberately stirring the pot and trying to score woke points by showing how fucking progressive they are. And I would guess, if the reverse was done, if The Princess and the Frog was done live action with a white actress as the main character, I guarantee Disney World in Florida would be razed to the ground. Of course, diversity and inclusivity are wonderful things, but it is just me that feels that at the moment a lot of it's being done just for the fucking sake of it. And it's not just Disney. In the recent Netflix series The Sandman, originally written by Neil Gaiman, almost every character had their race, gender or sexuality swapped. Apart from Morpheus, the main character, and of course the villains were all white men, because Netflix is pushing that narrative, white man bad. And changing the characters didn't detract from the enjoyment of the series, but it didn't add anything either. And as for the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, if you watch any of their new shows, you could be forgiven for thinking that in the UK, heterosexual white people, by far the largest demographic, have ceased to exist. Because every BBC show feels like they've spent more time ticking every diversity box than writing the fucking plot. However, there is one show where the inclusivity may actually backfire, and that's Amazon's billion-dollar series, The Ring of Power, the prequel to The Lord of the Rings, and of course those films were made by Peter Jackson. The issue being, in Lord of the Rings, all of the hobbits are white. In The Ring of Power, some of the hobbits are black, meaning that at some point in Middle-earth's history, a genocide has taken place. The hobbits have woken up in the Shire one day and decided it was time for a bout of ethnic cleansing. It's no wonder that Gandalf came back as Gandalf the White. In conclusion, I think the diversity thing is a good thing, but I wish the media companies would stop ramming it down everyone's throat. And coincidentally, I've got something I'd like to ram down the throat of Halle Bailey. As ever, thanks for watching.